How did you become an expert in American politics, would you say?
Well, I think what I did, I have a feeling it's probably similar to what you did, which is basically I decided in life to do what I was interested in and figured that if I was interested in something, I was more likely to be good at it. And politics, which is really a young person's sport, gives you a lot more opportunities when you're young. So I started working on campaigns in college. And when I got out of college, I ran a campaign for Congress, and I've pretty much, with some breaks, which I think actually probably helped me by getting away from politics for a while. I've been pretty much doing it for over 40 years now.
Yeah. One of the things that you're, I wouldn't say uniquely good at, but you're, again, as good as anyone, is you understand change, that the image of the parties changes, the technology changes, but there are some things that are immutable about politics in general, American politics. What's not different from when you started out in politics in terms of how to run and win elections, particularly presidentials?
Well, I think, look, just forget about when I started in politics, just when I was in the White House a quarter of a century ago. That was a completely different era in American politics in so many ways, as you well know, having covered it. So in many ways, the world is completely different. It's one of the challenges that people have when they're covering campaigns, is to figure out how much of history in a period like this, how much of history can you go back and look at and have it apply to the present, and which parts of history now are no longer relevant. But I think that some aspects of winning elections is timeless, and it starts regardless of the media or any other kinds of changes in our society. It starts with the quality of the candidate, and running for president in particular. I don't think you can run for president without having a vision of where you want to lead the country, a positive vision, first of all. And secondly, I think that you need to be able to articulate that vision in a way that people can understand. Thirdly, I think people have to believe that what you are saying is something you actually believe and you're not just posturing. And lastly, I think they have to have confidence that you can actually implement what you are running on. And so I think those four factors are timeless.
Yeah. In that list, people talk about Donald Trump's winning 2 out of 3, and they often point to the fact that he ran against Hillary Clinton, who was a flawed candidate. And Kamala Harris, also a flawed candidate. Now everybody's flawed, as Bill Clinton liked to say. If you want a perfect candidate, vote for someone else. In my circle, we talk about what would have happened had Donald Trump run against Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or George Bush. Is it possible, in terms of understanding the dynamics of campaigns, to say, or is it too hypothetical and impossible to say whether those 3 guys could have beaten Donald Trump?
Let me just say for the record, I hate Donald Trump. I think he's an abomination, but put that aside. He's a spectacular political specimen.
Yeah.
And in his election in 2016, an underreported thing was one of the biggest problems Clinton had in 16 was that our country doesn't want one party to have the White House 3 terms in a row. It only happened once since World War II, and that's when Bush won essentially for a Reagan 3rd term. But in 2016, I don't think anyone ever got elected president owing fewer people than Donald Trump. He didn't know bundlers. He didn't have a campaign apparatus. He did the entire thing on his own. And that's a spectacular achievement. But I think at the heart of your question, to be elected president of the United States, you have to be the right person at the right place at the right time. And if you take our country's history of over 200 years, I think the only time Jimmy Carter, for instance, could have ever been elected president was when he ran in 1976. And so I think timing is everything. And so in answering your question, I think it would depend on when the year was and where the mood of the country was. One last thing I'll say. I think Trump is a symptom of what's going on in America, not a cause. And a lot of what led to his victory in 2016 were things that had been forming in our country long before he ever thought about running. And so he tapped into that and in a sense accelerated these trends that they first surfaced in campaign, you covered in 1992, where I think that was the first time. Remember, politics is a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator of the state of America. But the grassroots working class revolt that Trump led first time it showed up in American politics was in the 92 campaign, Buchanan's primary against Bush, the incumbent, and then Ross Perot getting almost 20 million votes. So I think Trump's timing was spot on in 2016. But in terms of the hypotheticals, I think you have to start with where the country is, the mood is, and what the country's looking for. And I might add, by the way,
yeah.
if you took one word to describe Trump's campaign in 2016, I would say it was strength. And I think he used that as an antidote to what he perceived and many people perceived as weakness of the Obama years. And so many times you'll see in American history, we tend to react to whatever our current president is. Every action creates a reaction, and often the country wants to rebalance itself with something opposite of the predecessor.
All right, I'll ask it this way, slightly different. Here's how I rank the last 5 presidents in terms of just political skills, all the things it takes to be a good, not just presidential candidate, but an effective president to get your agenda through. Here's how I rank them: Clinton, Trump, Obama, Bush, Biden. Agree or disagree?
I guess I mostly agree, but I think you have to look at your definition of, success as a president. And so for whatever reason, Trump lost his reelection in 2020. And, if you want to measure success of a president, the power of the office and exerting your will, then Trump is probably the most effective president in the history of the United States. If you want to measure a president by whether they're leading a country and whether a country believes and supports their president, then Trump is at the bottom of the list or right next to Biden.
Right.
So I think it really depends on what your definition is of a strong president.
Well said. I was thinking more of just in terms of the kind of political skills that help you get elected and help you in the office. But I take your point.
He's a spectacular political athlete.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. He has the touch. He's a 78, 79-year-old guy that understands modern media or postmodern media. He doesn't he doesn't believe in the traditional tools of campaigns. He gives a speech, and whatever lines work is what he uses.
Right.
It's every day is a focus group.
I want to tell you all about the Vapor Technology Association. It's an organization started nearly a decade ago to protect the rights of Americans who choose alternatives to smoking and the small businesses who have made a living using this technology. They support science-based policies and the rights of adults to make healthier choices. Did you know that many family-owned vape shops and manufacturers across the country are now under attack thanks to what are outdated Biden-era regulations that threaten to wipe out an entire industry? The Vapor Technology Association, also known as VTA, says businesses are being destroyed and people are losing their jobs. But the VTA says President Trump has a clear opportunity now to change this and to protect Americans' right to make their own choices and to defend small businesses and restore a fair and free marketplace. Head over right now to vaportechnology.org to learn more about that organization and why they are leading the charge to support American innovation. And if their mission appeals to you, consider becoming a member when you get to the site. Again, that's vaportechnology.org. And when you get there, tell them you heard about all this on Next Up.